Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another powerful episode of Wellness Wednesday's Wisdom. Let me just start off by asking you something really quickly here tonight. Have you ever wondered why you're still dealing with blood pressure issues? Have you ever wondered why you're still dealing with your diabetes, things like high cholesterol? Even though you're doing everything right, everything that the doctors told you to do, you've taken the medications, you've cut the carbs, you're following their plan, right? And yet your health still doesn't feel like where it should be, where you feel like it should be. So here's the truth. Most people, they're stuck treating the fruit of the illness instead of actually healing the root. And tonight, what I want to do is I want to show you how to actually flip that, because this shift, this mindset change that we're going to talk about tonight is the real reasons why our patients are able to walk away from medications, be able to reverse their diabetes, reclaim their lives, and actually start living a diabetes-free life again. If you're new to the group, I'm Dr. Botelho, and every week inside of this community, I share the exact same strategies that we're using in our clinic with real patients in real life to help them walk away from type 2 diabetes and actually get to the root causes of why they became a diabetic in the first place. We've seen people they've kind of given up hope, people who were told, you're going to be on medications for the rest of your life, people who thought the best that they could do was just manage it. But here's what we see happen instead. We see A1Cs dropping, and they drop fast sometimes. We see medications being able to disappear, energy starting to explode again, lives being able to change, and doctors just getting absolutely shocked at the follow-up appointments when they see the results that these people are getting. If you've ever attended one of our master classes, you've actually seen the proof firsthand. You've seen the stories that we've shown, you've seen the actual labs that we show, the befores and the afters. This information that we're talking about right now isn't theory. This is transformation. This is what walking away from type 2 diabetes is all about. So let me share with you the framework that ties all of this together, and I call it the root and fruit model. And what I want you to do is I want you to picture a tree in your mind. At the top of the tree, you've got the fruit, and let's call it just bad fruit. So what are bad fruits? Bad fruits are things like diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, the weight that just won't budge no matter what you try. But here's what most people don't realize about that. Those really aren't the problems. They're the result of the problem. They're the symptoms. They're really the output, so to speak, when we talk about this problem here. They're the visible part of what's actually going on beneath the surface. The real problem lies in the roots, and the roots are lifestyle and environmental stressors that your body is exposed to, and they're exposed to every single day. And you've been exposed to things for a long period of time. So let me kind of go into this a little bit deeper here with you. Every chronic disease that's out there is always fueled by one thing, and it's chronic inflammation. Doesn't matter if it's the common cold or cancer, it is always fueled by chronic inflammation. Inflammation is what your body does when it's under a threat. It's your immune system trying to protect you, right? So let me try to give you an example here. If you've ever sprained your ankle, well, what does it do? It swells up. It gets red, it gets hot, it gets painful. That's what we call acute inflammation. That's just your body responding to this injury, your ankle, right? But now what I want you to do is I want you to imagine you getting out of bed every single morning. Before breakfast, you went out and you re-sprained the same ankle every single day. So would the swelling ever go away? No, of course not, right? So that inflammation actually becomes chronic, and it actually starts to damage the tissues permanently. And this is what we're doing to our cells, our organs, our hormones when we live in an inflamed, toxic, overstressed body day after day after day. And it doesn't become an event anymore. It's a process. So the key is this. You have to stop re-spraining your ankle. We have to find the source of the inflammation. We have to remove it. So let me give you one of the most common sources of chronic inflammation. There's a ton that's out there, but let's talk about one here tonight. We see it a lot in patients, and this is something called mold exposures. Yes, mold. And it shows up in water damaged buildings. It shows up in grains, in coffee, in nuts, in your air conditioner system, even in the homes of people that we think are clean. Now here's where it gets serious. If you have a certain genetic profile, your body can't detox mold properly. And what starts as a kind of like a low-grade inflammation, it just becomes a full-blown metabolic dysfunction. It's a problem. It's a problem that winds up becoming a trigger, and it becomes a trigger actually, and we know that this is the case, it actually becomes a trigger for type 2 diabetes. It becomes a trigger for things like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, kidney damage, brain fog, anxiety. But here's the kicker. Most doctors that are out there, they never even test for it. Instead, what do? They just draw the basic labs that are out there. They see your blood sugars are high, your blood sugar pressures are going up, your cholesterols are elevated. And what's the outcome? What's the outcome that you get? Just more prescriptions, the things like the metformins, the statins, the blood pressure medications. And it really becomes this never-ending roller coaster. Treating the fruit, not the root, that's what that's all about. And you wonder why you're still sick. You wonder why you're still feeling tired, why you feel stuck. You can have different. What we do is actually different. We test the root structure, not just the symptoms of this problem. We got to dig deeper, and we always ask, what's this person's body being exposed to that it just can't handle? And then you got to find it. Maybe it's mold, maybe it's toxins, maybe it's things like heavy metals, hormone imbalances, gut infections, micronutrient deficiencies. Once you figure out where it's coming from, then you build a real plan, a root cause specific plan. That's customized, it's specific, it's precise, and it's precise to you. And that's when the really magic happens. The inflammation just starts dropping, the blood sugar starts stabilizing again, your energy starts coming back. And the symptoms, what happens to those? They just start melting away, because when you work at the root up, the healing just becomes predictable, right? And I'm gonna say that again, it becomes predictable. If you've been struggling, if you feel like you're stuck, inflamed, just kind of even being ignored, I want you to hear me. You're not broken. I know you might think, some of you right now, listening to me right now, you might think you're broken. I want to share with you, you're not too far gone. If you've been part of this group for any length of time, you've seen these people. You've seen people just like you, the great people who have been able to share their stories in this group. There's a way out of this. You just need a new map, and we've got one for you. On April 28th, I'm going to be teaching our next diabetes-free masterclass, and it's free. It is practical. It is chock full of information that you can start using right away. And it could change everything. Just comment here below, masterclass, and we're gonna make sure that we put this pins right here in this, but comment below if you want to attend the next upcoming masterclass. Let me show you what your doctors just aren't testing you for. Let me show you how to stop the inflammation at actually the root level. Let me show you how to actually reverse this disease process, but doing it one layer at a time, because you were never meant to live in this survival mode. You're actually designed for health. You were designed for energy. You were designed to thrive. So we'll see you soon. Blessings to all of you. Have a blessed week.